Coverage you can count on. This is WTVM News Leader 9. Sponsored by Montlick & Associates, Columbus Injury Attorneys.
Residents from across the Chattahoochee Valley remember a local entertainer who drowned this past week. We are live at the vigil. Plus, HIV infections are down in Columbus, but it's not all good news. We'll tell you what's on the rise when it comes to the AIDS virus.
And we're tracking some rain and some thunderstorms too through parts of Muskogee County, back into parts of Harris and Talbot counties too. We'll have our eye on these, and we'll have a forecast for the rest of your work week coming up.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Rosalind Giles. Happening right now, family and friends are at a vigil tonight. They are honoring the life of Hernandez Wilson at Rotary Park. The 30-year-old drowned there Thursday night in the Chattahoochee River. Wilson was well known in the community, as you can see him right here, nicknamed Bump. He was a lively soul who never met a stranger. He had a weekly radio segment on 98.3 The Beat and was also a rapper. Now, according to family, Hernandez suffered from mental illness. Police were called to the park for a suspicious person Thursday night. Witnesses said Hernandez went into the river and lost his footing. You can see the people gathering there. We'll have more for you from this story coming up tonight at 11. New details on a Columbus shooting. The victim, 57-year-old Simon Lee King, died Saturday in ICU. The coroner tells us King was removed from life support around 2 Saturday afternoon. Right now, investigators are looking for this vehicle, as you can see on your screen, a gold or silver blue 4-door vehicle. Now, police believe the suspects were in the car last seen on Thursday when they shot King on 28th Avenue. The vehicle was last seen, though, on Clover Lane. Anyone with information about this case is asked to call police at 706-653-3400. The CDC recently released the latest numbers on HIV infections and stage 3 AIDS diagnosis for Columbus, and it was a mixture of good and bad news. News Leader 9's Arisha Jones is here to tell us the outlook on those numbers.
Well, according to the CDC, HIV infections dropped by almost 25% in 2013. Jeremy Hobbs of the Better Way Foundation in Columbus says while HIV infection rates have declined, he's alarmed by the increase of stage 3 AIDS diagnosis. In 2012, there were 29 people diagnosed with stage 3, but in 2013, the number rose to 43 in the Fountain City. Hobbs says there are several resources available to get tested for HIV and AIDS. Taking these numbers seriously and knowing your status early will prevent more harm to your body.
By not knowing your status, you're writing your own death sentence. And the reason for that is because the longer you wait, the more your body becomes crippled with your immune system. The longer you wait, your immune system drops and drops and drops because you're not taking the medicines that keep it rising and fighting off infections. And if you're doing that, you're at higher risk for pneumocystis, you're higher risk for pneumonia, pneumococcal infections, and also for cancer.
The numbers for LaGrange were 102 people for HIV infections and 61 for stage 3 AIDS. Now, Jeremy Hobbs says more private funding from the people in the Chattahoochee Valley are needed to provide testing, transportation, and other resources for those in the community who need help. More on this story tonight on the news at 11. I'm Arisha Jones for WTVM News Leader 9.
All right, Arisha, thank you so much for that report. Reports tonight that an Indonesian plane that went missing during bad weather has crashed. The twin turboprop was carrying 49 passengers and 5 crew on the short flight through Indonesia's mountainous province of Papua. About 30 minutes into the trip, not far from the destination of Oxabol, the aircraft disappeared. Now, there was no distress call. Rescue crews are headed, though, to an area where villagers reported seeing a plane crash into a mountain. Trigana is a well-known airline in Southeast Asia, but blacklisted in other parts of the world.
This particular airline has more than a spotty record. As a matter of fact, the European Union won't even let them in because of their safety compliance record in the past.
Now, grief-stricken families gathered at the airport awaiting news. Officials confirm there was heavy rain, strong winds, and fog in the area. CNN has also reported that parts of the plane came from Pratt and Whitney. And we are now getting a closer look at where the plane actually crashed here with Derek. Now, the flight lost contact, we know, Derek, with air traffic control over the remote Papua region. And there were about 44 adults, 5 children, and 5 crew members aboard that plane.
Absolutely. Tragic story there. In fact, let's take you back over to our weather graphics. We've got a view here of the plane crash on here for you. And what you're looking at here in the middle of the picture, this is a mountain range that runs right through the center of this province. And the mountains in this region, upwards of 10,000 feet high on average. So that, of course, always a factor when we talk about these planes flying over mountain ranges. And you take that into consideration with the fact that there were storms in the area at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be a weather concern there. No official, of course, cause yet, but presuming that weather was a factor, the height of some of those mountains, the fog, also all factors.
And they have canceled the search for tonight due to the weather conditions and the fact that it's dark now. But also something very interesting, they were talking about how people in this region, they take air flights to short distances like this because of the remote area. There's no other way to reach those destinations, to reach those places if they do not take a flight. Yeah,
if you think about if the United States had a mountain range that was 1,000 miles long, running right through the center of it with mountains 10,000 feet high, it would be very difficult to get north or south other than flying up and over. So that's what the folks here have to do. And like you said, storms in the area. Because of that, they've taken or canceled the search or called off the search for this evening. Now, thankfully for us around here, we have some storms around too, but nothing too bad out there. In fact, let's get ready to talk a little weather for you at the moment as we check out what's happening out there. As we look at our graphics here, we're going to show you what's going on out there across the Chattahoochee Valley. Some showers and thunderstorms in progress across the valley. Showers moving into Columbus as we speak. Parts of Talbot County getting wet as well. Stewart County getting wet. Down into Quitman County. Showers here pressing back over into parts of Barber County. So you follow, you'll be under the gun for some rain here fairly soon. Let's take it closer into the city of Columbus. Watching rain now on the east side of town, up around Chautauqua Road, Technology Parkway as you go out further on the east side of town. Showers and storms in progress here. These are tracking north and northwest, so they'll be crossing over Manchester Expressway soon, likely crossing over U.S. Highway 80, J.R. Allen Parkway here fairly soon as well. Now, the strongest storm in the map sitting right over the city of Talbot and in Talbot County. Plenty of lightning with these. The good news, nothing severe out there, nothing damaging out there. These are your typical summertime storms that we have our eye on, and there are some more out there too. We're going to continue to watch these moving from the southeast to the northwest as we take you through the nighttime hours tonight. Here's a look at our forecast temperatures. Most spots in the 80s right now, 82 in Columbus. It's 86 at Fort Benning, 82 in Reynolds. So the rain really helping to keep those temperatures down out there this evening. Don't forget to stay connected with us over the next couple of hours as the showers and thunderstorms rumble on through. We'll keep the rain chance going maybe through at least midnight tonight, and we'll talk a lot more about what to expect as we get you through the next 7 days coming up in your forecast here in just a bit. Rosalind.
All right, thank you, Derek. Civil rights pioneer Julian Bond has died. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, he passed away Saturday night in Florida after a brief unspecified illness. Bond served as founding president of the SPLC in the 1970s. The Tennessee native was on the forefront of the 1960s civil rights movement, protesting for equal rights for African Americans. Bond also fought against apartheid in South Africa during the 1980s. He served in the Georgia State Legislature for 20 years and was a professor at several universities. He served as chairman of the NAACP for a decade.
And he was an integral part of helping young people, and we will never forget him.
Of course, you have to condemn outbursts of anger.
Bond is survived by his wife and 5 children. He was 75 years old. Coming up on the news at 6, winds in the west are posing problems for firefighters trying to contain the flames fed by drought. Plus, we have great news for Auburn fans. More from Tuma's Corner is straight ahead.
Now we're going to head to South Carolina. Let's take a live picture over the South Carolina State House where residents rallied to take down the Confederate flag. Today, the South Carolina House approving a measure that will allow them to consider removing that flag. This after 9 black church members were killed last week in Charleston. But as Karen Travers reports, it could be weeks before a decision is made.
Hundreds rallying in South Carolina today, calling for the Confederate battle flag to come down from in front of the State House.
Take it down! Charleston could be a light to the world to show how in South Carolina, if we can get past the things that divide us.
To some, that flag is a symbol of division and hate, but to others, it's part of the state's history. It actually sat on top of the State House dome from the 1960s until 2000, before it was moved to that flagpole in front after massive protests. Polls have shown a majority of South Carolinians support keeping the flag in place.
I don't believe it represents evil. I believe it represents history and heritage.
Today, South Carolina state lawmakers met to vote on a budget, but the controversy over the flag loomed large. Taking down the flag from the State House requires a 2/3 supermajority in both the State House and Senate. Today, the House approved a resolution that calls a special session that includes a debate over the future of the flag. That flag became front and center after last week's tragic shooting, when photos were discovered showing the alleged gunman, Dylan Roof, posing with it and in front of Confederate monuments. Today, new police dashcam video showing Dylan Roof's arrest. 7 southern states use Confederate imagery in their flags, and in 3 of them, Florida, Mississippi, and Tennessee, there are calls for change. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Now, this week we've been showing you images from the rallies in South Carolina today while legislators meet to discuss removing the Confederate flag there from the state capitol. The issue became urgent after several photos surfaced online of the church shooter from Charleston posing with the Confederate flag. And the flag's been on the ground at the South Carolina State House for nearly 15 years, and now protesters there and the governor are demanding it's being taken down. Our Georgia Elise got some local reaction on the political fallout surrounding the flag, and she joins us now with more.
You're right, Jason, and the issue is getting more talk and more traction today as more political leaders and others call for the flag to come down. This issue is not just unique to South Carolina. Even the Georgia state flag incorporates some Confederate symbolism. If you take a look here, you can see the similarities. Georgia's flag and the first national Confederate flag adapted in 1861 both have those 3 stripes and a circle of stars. However, the more recognized version of the Confederate flag is usually the one identified as a symbol of racism. I spoke to CSU chair with the Department of Politics, who says the issue is bigger than the Confederate flag. It's a matter of civil rights.
When we talk about civil rights, it's not just simply encapsulated in the 1960s or any other period, but it's a continued process, and that this is just another manifestation of what we, or ways we can continue to improve.
Several southern states are now reevaluating their use of the Confederate flag. Virginia and North Carolina calling for the flag to be removed from their license plates. Mississippi and Alabama are filing to have it removed from state grounds. Coming up at 6, I'll have information on how the Charleston church shooting has also sparked some conversation on gun control. Hear from someone local who thinks gun control laws need to be stricter. I'm Georgia Elise reporting for WTVM News Leader 9.
All right, thank you, Georgia. Now, eBay is the latest company to ban the sale of Confederate battle flag merchandise. The company says the flag is a contemporary symbol of divisiveness and racism.
eBay says it has long banned items that promote or glorify hate. eBay's decision comes after Walmart, Sears, and even Amazon announced they would stop selling Confederate battle flag products. Now, join our web poll on WTVM.com. We're asking what you think about businesses pulling Confederate flag merchandise.